We at Lionhead in Guildford started the development of Fable 2 on the 21st of April 2005, with just a few key people. The team rapidly expanded, and by January 2007, more than 150 people were working on the project. We followed the team during this time, and we'll be taking you behind the scenes, showing you not only what motivates them, but also explaining the features to expect in Fable 2.
Back in 1998, I started a little company with my brother, Simon Carter. We had a dream of creating a fairy tale role-playing game, but we didn't want to go the usual geek route of unpronounceable weapons and things. We thought, well, why don't we give somebody who's never seen a role-playing game before something that they can get their teeth into, a story they can understand, something they can relate to, something which is a much more emotional experience than the usual sort of stat counting exercise.
Fable 1 received a lot of acclaim for breaking new ground, and in Fable 2 we really wanted to innovate further. We wanted gaming to be truly emotional.
Because we deal with love every day, if it's faked on screen, it can be very jarring, it can be very obvious that it's wrong, and so it's very difficult to get that right.
Love is actually a very, very important emotion to Fable 2. For the first time, you can be male or female. We're putting much more of an emphasis this time into family relationships, so you can have a wife and you can have a child. And frankly, unless you're going to pursue emotion, there's really no point having a family and children.
You can choose to marry anyone you like in the game world, and so we're not scripting who you can fall in love with and why they'll fall in love with you, so we've got to try and make that realistic.
We're not talking about love in the soppy sense. We're talking about the fact that you care for something in the game, and even more importantly, things in the game care for you.
One way is through the introduction of a dog that loves you. It'll follow you around and serve as a companion on your adventures throughout Albion.
Firstly, and maybe most importantly, I wanted to show the quality that we were putting into the dog in the game. Everybody who sees that dog, they will say, that's a dog. The second thing is, I wanted to really get across to people how brave we're being with this dog. What we could have done is given you this dog and made him controllable by you. We give you no control over the dog. Just think about that a second.
What we do is we split up the way people think about the hero into like 5 separate axes.
Even though there are 5 axes of opinions, there are actually 10 extremes of those axes.
No control over the dog. You haven't got a dog button. And a lot of people would say, that's just mad, man. Well, how can I be engaged with something? What we've said is, you control the dog by playing the game. You control the dog by worrying about you as a hero. So it's not aggravating to you. I don't press a button when I go out with my dog. I think the very fact you don't control him makes him feel like something that has a mind and that has an agenda. And that agenda, first and foremost in that agenda, is his love for you. His willingness to sacrifice himself for you. His need to please you in everything that he does.
Fable is, of course, an action-adventure role-playing game with an important emphasis on the story. This is where the emotion plays an obvious role, and your decisions, your feelings will be paramount as you make the hard choices along the way.
If you look at the history of other visual media, cinema, for example, the addition of love and sort of emotive content has been a really big deal. If you look at Charlie Chaplin, he introduced emotion into a film called The Kid, and suddenly cinema was elevated to a new form of art. I'm not quite saying we're there yet, but I'd very, very much like to think that we're kind of in the vanguard of groups who are interested in this side of games rather than sheer thumb candy.
Actually, it's about drama. It's about you feeling, when you're playing Fable, things that you've never felt before. And if love is one of those emotions, we've won.
When we're developing a game, things go wrong, and every developer's nightmare becomes reality: bugs. From time to time, we stop developing new features and instead focus on fixing bugs.
Right, this week we're having a bug blitz, which is something we do now and again. The reason for that is that ever so often the build gets a bit clogged up and messy, and we have some reliability problems. So this week we've decided to have everyone sit down and work through some of the bugs.
I'm fixing bugs at the moment. Some rather nasty grouping bugs in the editor.
We've got hobs which jump out of foliage, so we've got ninja hobs.